Hello everyone. In continuation to our last class, today also we will be discussing on the Educational Psychology, Unit 1. Unit 1, Educational Psychology. So in our last class, we are done with the concept of education, the meaning and definition of psychology, psychology as a positive science, the meaning of the term behavior, and the different branches of psychology. So today, we will be starting with the utility of psychology in education. Utility or the importance of psychology in education. I'm writing psychology in short. Utility or importance of psychology in education. Educational psychology has two aspects. It has the theoretical aspect and practical So coming to the utility or the importance of psychology in education. Educational psychology has theoretical aspect and the practical aspect. As a discipline, it has theoretical as well as practical importance for educators, learners, and parents. Psychology is not only important for the teachers, but it is also important for the learners as well as the parents who are at home. There are many ways in which the study of psychology enables a teacher to know and understand the pupil for whom he is working and for whom the whole school organization is set up. The teacher will feel in him great power to know himself and adapt accordingly to the school environment. Having the knowledge of psychology, the teacher must know how children think and what are their interests at various stages of development and how can this energy be best utilized for education. The knowledge of psychology will be of great help or of great importance to a teacher while identifying and rectifying the mental maladjustment among his students. The importance and usefulness of educational psychology can be elaborated in the following areas. We'll go point-wise, the utility or the importance of psychology in education point-wise. Number one, we have the child-centered education. I'm writing education in short. Child-centered education, number one. Educational psychology is a descriptive and explanatory science and an applied science which extends knowledge beyond ordinary observation. Today's syllabi and method of teaching are developed in accordance with the ability, capacity, interest, and aptitude of the learner. That is the first point coming under the importance of psychology in education. And number two, curriculum. Today, in creating curriculum, attention is focused primarily on the child's interest, aptitude, growth, maturation, etc. Curriculum has become child-centered rather than subject matter-centered. Coming to number three, the timetable. Timetable. As a consequence of the influence of educational psychology, when a timetable is being framed in school, considerable thought is devoted to the order in which teaching of different subjects is arranged. Now, in framing timetables, efforts are made to take into consideration such factors as climate, the interest and aptitude of children, their individual differences, etc. And to number 4, co-curricular Students, please note down the points. I'm going according to the points. Co-curricular activities. The curriculum of today incorporates various kinds of co-curricular activities like debates, discussion, competition in essay and writing, tour, students' union activities, games, staging of plays, deviant behavior, staging of plays, music, and a host of other co-curricular activities have been recognized as important and has contributed significantly to the comprehensive development of children. That is the co-curricular activities. Number 5, discipline. Number 5, discipline. In the modern age, if a child commits some crime, within or outside the classroom, the teacher, instead of making repressive use of sticks, tries to discover the cause of the deviant behavior and then bring about permanent cure. That is the discipline. Coming to the importance of psychology in education. Number 6, health environment. Healthy environment. Healthy environment. It is being realized that from the healthy education of healthy children, it is essential to create a healthy environment which can stimulate the children's desire to learn. In school, efforts are made to create an environment favoring the transfer of acquired knowledge to the sphere of practical life. It should also be conducive to the mental and physical health of children. Number 7, formation of opinion on educational problems. Formation of opinion on educational problems. Educational psychology provides us with occasions to reflect upon, analyze, find solutions, and also form opinions on a variety of educational problems which have given rise to many social evils. The basis or foundation of such problems is juvenile delinquency, backwardness, problem children, indiscipline, and student unrest in the school, and it is the duty of the teachers that these problems must be solved. Number 8, measurement and evaluation. Number 8, measurement and evaluation. Another sphere in which educational psychology has made valuable contribution is that the use and development of measurement and evaluation. Efforts are made to ensure that a child's educational achievement and his progress is made possible. The child's interest, ability, aptitude, and innate capacities are first measured, and he is then given a particular direction in which he can progress, making the best use of his innate capacities and talents. And the last number under the importance of psychology in education, number 9 and 8, in achieving educational objectives. Importance of psychology in education, the last point is, and aid in achieving educational objectives. Educational psychology concentrates upon the behavior of the educator and the learner, and thus proves an invaluable aid in achieving the goals of education. Now let us come to the relationship between education and psychology. Coming to the relationship between education and psychology. Relationship between education and psychology. Next point is relationship between education and psychology. The relation between psychology and education is very intimate. Psychology is defined as the science of behavior. It seeks to understand and explain behavior in terms of mental and bodily activities. It answers us to the questions how and why we behave, how we think, feel, and act in the way that we do. It tries to understand the conditions from which act of behavior arise and arrive so that it can interpret, control, and predict it. But education, as we have seen above, is an attempt to mold and shape the behavior of the children. It tries to help the young to grow and develop along certain lines. It helps to acquire knowledge and skill and to learn certain ways of thought and feeling so that they may be easily observed into adult society. Here in the relationship between education and psychology also, we will be going point-wise. But before we come to we go point-wise, let us have a look at the definition given by Aristotle. Aristotle says, or Aristotle defined as, education is the creation of a sound mind in a sound body. So if we have a sound mind, then if we have a sound body, or if we are physically fit, and if our mind is also free, then learning will take place, or the teaching learning process inside the classroom will also be effective. So Aristotle said that education is to create the sound mind in a sound body. And also Skinner, the entire range, Skinner says, or Skinner defined education as the entire range of behavior and personality is related to educational psychology. So it also brings helps in bringing the desirable change in the behavior of students. Thus, it affirms that education and psychology are intimately related to each other. So now let us go point-wise. First, we have psychology and aims of education. I'm writing psychology in short. Aims, psychology and aims of education. Psychology helps the educator in the realization of educational aims. The aims of education can be fixed by taking the help of psychological changes of the child. So, the need, interest, aptitude, and attitude are the indicator for planning any activities for education. That is number one. And number two, psychology and curriculum. Psychology and curriculum. A good curriculum is that which stimulates the constructive potentialities of the students and which is prepared according to their needs. The curriculum should be according to the mental level of the students. What to teach and how to teach. Prepare the curriculum according to the needs of the students and society. Preparing curriculum for easy to difficult approach. And the next, psychology lays stress on individual differences. Therefore, curriculum should be flexible for all learners in the classroom. These are the points coming under psychology and curriculum. And number three, psychology and method of teaching. Psychology and method of teaching. So various methods of teaching like project method, Montessori method, playway method are based on sound psychological principles. A teacher has to give instruction through different methods which should be linked with psychological problems, needs, and development of the children, or in whatever way the children should be able to understand the class teaching. And number four, psychology and evaluation. Psychology and evaluation. The total process of evaluation and examination should be linked with psychological principles. A psychological tool helps the teacher to evaluate the achievement of the pupils and suggest improvement in examination. The teacher can control, direct, and predict the behavior of students on the basis of research studies in classroom teaching. Questions should be prepared taking the normal development of the children. Thus, education and psychology are closely and intimately related. And the next point, psychology and discipline. Psychology and discipline. The problem of school discipline can be observed through proper psychological techniques. Psychology tells us the ways of dealing with problems of delinquent, backward, handicapped, and gifted children and helps in maintaining discipline. It states that discipline should be self-implied, dynamic, and constructive through participation in purposeful activity. And the sixth number, psychology and school administration. Psychology and school administration. Psychology helps in solving problems of administration by mutual discussion among various agencies of the school. It provides a scientific basis for the supervision of instruction. Number 7, psychology and the teacher. Psychology and the teacher. Teaching is an art, and so the teacher should know different techniques of psychology in order to solve different problems of the children. Here we have some points. Number 1, psychology enhances the vision of a teacher to understand the mental status of his or her students. Next, psychology helps a teacher to evaluate his or her student to measure his or her achievements. Next, we have, with the help of psychology, a teacher understands the weaknesses of his or her students, and with the help of psychology, he or she finds solution for that problem. Psychology brings changes in the attitude of the teachers towards his or her students. Psychology introduces new mental tests through which a teacher evaluates the students. Psychology produces new theories of learning for better education. With the help of psychology, a teacher learns to modify the behavior of the student. Psychology teaches the teacher why a child behaves in a certain situation differently than others. What a teacher needs to do to change a negative behavior to a positive behavior. So if a teacher has the knowledge of psychology, then this can be done properly and it will be effective in the classroom teaching learning process. And now coming to point number 8, psychology and timetable. Textbook preparation. Psychology and timetable, textbook preparation. Yesterday in our class, we have discussed about the timetable as well as the timing of the class. So here in the relationship between education and psychology also, we have the psychology and timetable textbook preparation. So on the basis of psychological principles, the curriculum workers, teachers, and administrators prepared suitable timetable according to the interest, time, suitability, and local condition of the learners. And next point, psychology and innovation. Psychology and innovations. Psychology has made significant contribution by introducing innovative ideas for improving the process of teaching and learning, such as activity-centered teaching, micro-teaching, program instruction, and interaction analysis. And number 10, psychology and audiovisual aids. Psychology and audiovisual aid. Psychology states that to develop among students or to develop their interest among the students, and a teacher should properly use audiovisual aids. Use of audiovisual aids makes the learning easy, interesting, and effective. Every teacher should learn the child's psychology before teaching. And the last point under the relationship between education and psychology is psychology, guidance, and counseling. Psychology, guidance, and counseling. Many students have many problems in education, society, and emotions, which have to be guided. Psychologists provide guidance in such conditions, and for this purpose, child guidance clinics have been opened in schools in developed countries. So these are the points which are coming under the relationship between education and psychology. Next, we go to the difference between education and psychology. Difference between education and psychology. Difference between education and psychology. Here also we will be going point-wise. Number one, psychology acts as a medium for education, whereas education is learning in a larger perspective. Education is a continuous process with learning as its objective. Point number two, the methodology of education depends upon psychology to an extent, whereas psychology is independent of education in this very case. And number three, psychology helps in understanding behavior and functioning of people, whereas he would keep on getting educated with every passing moment. And number four, smooth functioning is an integral part of psychology, whereas education is self-evolving. And the last number under difference between education and psychology is education has a lion's share in a person's life, whereas psychology helps in achieving it. So these are the 5 points for the difference of psychology and education. And the last point for today is the difference between psychology and educational psychology. The last point for today is difference between psychology and educational psychology. Please don't get confused with these 2 points. The first one is just now what we have done is the difference between education and psychology, and now what we are going to discuss is about the difference between psychology and educational psychology. So in this difference between psychology and educational psychology, we have just 2 points. The educational psychology is a part of psychology. Number one, psychology as a field of education. Psychology is as a field of study. It is very comprehensive, and it is mainly a study of the mental processes and behavioral patterns of human beings, whereas educational psychology is the study of human learning process. Number two, educational psychology is a specialized field of study which aims to understand the psyche of people in the ecosystem of an educational institution. So this highlights that with educational psychology explores only the learning aspect of human life. Psychology in general explores all human activities throughout the lifespan, which goes beyond the learning process. So these are the 2 points which are coming under the difference between psychology and educational psychology. So in Unit 1, we have discussed about the concept of education, meaning of and definitions of psychology, meaning of the term behavior, psychology as a positive science, the different branches of psychology, utility or the importance of psychology in education, difference between education and psychology, and the last point, as we have just said, difference between psychology and educational psychology. So with this, we have come to the end of Unit 1. In our next class, we will start Unit 2, that is growth and development. A request to all the students out there, please supplement our class teaching by reading your books at home. Till then, stay home, stay safe.